So we have day 2 of graphing, right? So today we are going to graph. We have y equals 1/2 the sine of x minus pi over 3. So we need to just remember our format was plus or minus a sine of b times x minus h plus k, right? Okay, so if b is 1, we're not going to factor it out because it's not going to change anything, is it? No. Okay, if it's not 1, we're going to have to factor it out so we can get our h and our k and we can do all this fun stuff to it. So what we need to do is we need to take and remember, what does sine look like? Like the parent function of sine, how would you describe it? Where does it start?
At 2 pi.
Doesn't it start at 0?
0.
When I draw this, should you think sine?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so is that focused? Seems
Yes.
a little unfocused to me, but is that better? Not better?
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
It's good.
Okay, so we need to remember that. We need to go through and we need to, the amp. What's my amp?
1/2.
1/2. What is B, guys? Oh, B is 1. So period is 2 pi over 1, so it is
2 pi.
2 pi. So there are 4 quadrants in this parent function, correct?
Mm-hmm.
There's here, 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 and here. So this curve is divided up evenly into 4 pieces, correct? Everyone see that? Because when I do a circle, I have how many quadrants?
4.
4 quadrants. So when I do this, the period is divided up evenly to 4, whatever that 4 is. So when we're graphing, we look for a scale factor. And all we do is take the period divided by 4. Okay, why 4?
Because of 4 quadrants.
There's 4 quadrants. There's 4 equal parts in the parent function, correct? So the period is pi over 2 divided by 4. So my scale is what? Pi over 2. The period didn't change from the parent function, so we already know that this is 1 pi over 2 from here to here, correct? And then another pi over 2, and then another pi over 2. See that? Okay. So my, what?
When you were writing out 2 pi over 4, you said the answer instead of...
Oh, I did. That doesn't surprise me. Okay. So we need to identify all that. We're going to draw 1 complete cycle. So 1 complete cycle. You have to read your directions. If it says 2, you have to draw 2. Actually, we'll do 2 cycles. Just so you can see how to do it. Okay? So I didn't move left or right, did I? No. Didn't move left or right. Did I move up or down? Oh, wait. I didn't move left or right?
You did.
I did. Where did I go?
Right pi over 3.
I went right pi over 3. Because that's my h, correct? Yes? I totally neglected it. So I'm not going to start at 0. I'm going to start at where?
Pi over 3.
Pi over 3. And we're just going to make this pi over 3. I don't care if it's right or not. I'm going to mark it pi over 3. Okay? So that's my starting point. If I move left, I'd move it left. So then I just make 2 complete cycles. So I'm going to go 1 and then keep going. There's 1 and there's 2. So on your paper, you're lucky you have lines to guide you, whatever. We're going to say mine are equal. So I need to do the max and the min. Well, if the amp was a half, it means it goes up a half, so this point is what? 1/2. We probably always should label 0, correct? And if it goes up a half, it goes what? Down a half. So you get what? Negative half. Okay. So now this is what you have to label on the x-axis. You have to do all maxes, mins, and zeros. Okay. So here's a max, a 0, a min, a 0, a max, a 0, a min, and a 0. So all this have to be labeled.
Oh my goodness.
So my scale was what? Pi over 2. So that means every single one of these gaps is pi over 2, correct?
Yeah.
But I'm starting at where?
Pi over 3.
Pi over 3. So I'd have to take pi over 3 plus pi over 2. So I probably need to get common denominators, don't I? So down here, not on your graph, this would be what? 2 pi over 6?
Yeah.
Okay. And my scale common denominator would be 3 pi over 6, would it not? Just get common denominators. So now, once you have a starting point in your scale, guess what you do? You just add. So I have 2 pi over 6 plus 3 pi over 6 is what? 5 pi over 6. If I can't read your labels, you get 0. Each label is worth a point. Okay, 5 pi over 6 plus 3 pi over 6, which is 8 pi over 6. And I wrote it down here because what do I need to do? What do I need to do with 8 pi over 6? Reduce. So it would be 4 pi over 3?
Yep.
8 pi over 6 plus what?
Say about 3 pi over
3 pi over 6. You're adding your scale each time. So 8 plus 3 is 11. 11 plus 3 is 14. And I do my ones I have to reduce down at the bottom.
7 pi over
7 pi over 3. That way I can just keep adding to it. So 14 plus 3 is 17 pi over 3. Oh, 6, not 3. The next one's going to be over 3, isn't it? Okay, 17 plus 3 is 20 pi over 6. So 10 pi over 3? Yes.
I thought 20 should be pi over 3. Oh.
No, it will be.
Yeah.
10 pi over 3. Then the next one's going to be what? 23 pi over 6. And then it's going to be 26 pi over 6. So 13 pi over 3. They will say a complete cycle, 2 complete cycles, from 0 to 2 pi. That could be 1, that could be 4, depending on what they've done to the graph. Okay? So you'll get more practice on those things. But that's how we do it. We made our curve and then we labeled, correct? Do not label and then try to make your curve.
How'd you get common denominators?
I had 2 and I had 3. So what's the common denominator of 2 and 3? 6. So that made this 3 pi over 6 and that made this 2 pi over 6.
Oh, we always have to do that?
I would.
No, like, we had to do it because we started...
Oh, well, we always have to get common denominators?
Like, so we had pi over 2, and we started at pi over 3 in the graph. Will it always be like that, or we have to common denominators to add?
Not always. Sometimes you'll have them. Sometimes you start at 0. Just if you don't have common denominators and you're adding, you'll have to do it.
So if we could have a common denominator, but it was like 4 pi over 3, but we just keep adding and we
Yep.
wouldn't have to find it.
Yep. You wouldn't have to, but you would have to reduce.
Oh, yeah.
And I would suggest doing my starting work here and your graph here. That's how I do every problem. I do all my pre-work here, and then I graph it. Okay? Why equals negative 3 cosine of 2x, 2 pi x plus 4 pi.
Would you factor out a 2 pi?
Yeah, we are going to. I'm not going to rewrite this right here because this is sine and cosine, correct? That parent function is the same, isn't it?
Yeah.
But cosine doesn't start at 0, it starts where? It starts at the max and goes down, unless it's reflected, correct? If it was reflected, it wouldn't start at the max, it'd start at the what? Minimum. Okay, so we do need to factor. Anytime b is not 1, you need to factor. So you have negative 3 cosine of 2 pi, and then it'd be x, what?
Plus 2.
Plus 2. And again, still no k, huh? Okay. I think the next one has a k. So we're going to go through the same thing we did. The amp
3.
is 3. Thank you for not saying negative. What does the negative tell me? It's reflected. So
Your keystone popped up. Oh, never mind. It popped down.
okay, and I did not put x-axis, I put h-axis, because if this goes up or down, is that axis of the curve going to change? Yes, because the axis is the middle where it comes. Okay, so then what's b?
2 pi.
2 pi. Period then is 2 pi divided by b,
Over
which would be 2 pi divided by 2 pi, which would be what?
1.
1. Okay, period is 1. Then I'm going to do scale. I'm going to do my scale so I know what to label it. Okay, if you look in the book, they say to do this whole solving equation thing for each one. If you know your starting point and you know your scale, you don't have to do an equation on 5 points. You just add your scale. Isn't that much easier? Okay, so the scale is period
Over.
divided by 4. And why 4?
Because 4 quadrants.
There's 4 quadrants, there's 4 equal parts.
So is it just one?
So the scale is
1/4.
1/4. Okay, do we have a K?
No.
Nope, so I'm just going to put K 0 so we can remember to look for it. What's H?
Negative. It would go left 2.
Left 2, it's negative 2, so left 2. So that means I'm starting at negative 2, and I'm adding what each time?
Negative 2. Or
What's my
Is it
scale?
because of the x
1/4.
plus 2?
What?
Did you get negative 2 because of the x plus 2?
I got negative 2 because right here. Okay, so my scale is 1/4. This is always what I'm adding from my starting point. So am I going to have common denominators again?
You used to do this
Oh,
in the
yeah.
graph with
Because
h and k.
It's H and K like they've always been right here because this is minus H, correct? So this is a plus 2, so it's not right 2, it's left 2 because the negative became a positive.
H is left.
So this is my secret on this is just give yourself an x-axis. Don't put a y-axis yet. We'll decide where that happens later. Okay? Okay, where are we starting? Right, but where are we starting?
Negative 2.
Negative 2. Okay, so we're just going to make this negative 2. And we got to have common denominators, so my scale's 1/4, so my common denominator has to be what? 4. So what would negative 2 be with the common denominator of 4?
8/4.
8 over 4. So it's negative 8 over 4. Probably put that too close. So negative 8 over 4. Now, we normally start at a maximum, but this is reflected, so I'm going to start at the what? Min. So just kind of line it up here. And we're going to do 2 cycles again, just so we can get used to doing that.
two of them.
Yep. Just so we can get used to that scale. And what I always do is before I start labeling, I mark them. So I don't miss any. Because if you're marking while you're labeling, guess what you're going to do?
This.
You're going to miss one.
I guess I have a miss, huh?
Okay. What? So I need to add what to negative 8 pi over 4?
1
1/4.
4.
So negative 8 plus 1 is? Negative 7. Negative 7 plus 1 is?
Negative 6. Just negative 3 halves.
Next one's going to be? Negative 5/4. And it'd be negative 1, because it's negative 4/4, right? Isn't it 3/4?
Oh.
Are you ahead?
Yeah.
Okay. And then negative 2/4. And then negative 1/4. And then what?
0.
0. So now
That's where the y-axis is.
I'm going to put my y-axis right here. I'm going to carry it up a little bit. And I'm going to put 0. We are making our graph fit our curve, not our curve fit our graph. When you try to make your curve fit your graph, that's when you get stuff I can't read, you can't read, and it's gross looking. Okay? Now I need to do my maximum and my min. What's my max?
Would it be 1?
69.
What's your
Or no?
amp?
It would be 3.
3, because you take your axis plus your amp. So my axis is where? 0, because K was 0.
Yeah.
So K plus 3 is
3.
3. K minus amp is negative 3. Do you see that? You take your K and you add and subtract your amp. Now again, just read your directions on if you're supposed to do how many, like 2 cycles, 1 period. They'll say different things, okay? Okay. Y equals 2 plus 3 cosine of 2x. I'm going to tell you right now, your book does not put parentheses around the 2x. I will always put parentheses around the 2x. It tells me what the cosine is being taken of. It is cleaner, it is neater, and my brain doesn't have to think as hard. Okay, so cosine, in our brain, what's cosine look like? Everyone draw it in the air.
A U.
Yep, starts up and goes down, right? So we're thinking this, correct? Okay, do we need to keep doing 2 or can we just do 1 period?
1.
1? Okay, so same drill. You're going to do this every single time. Every single time. All of these things are going to be accounted for.
Can you add the 2 and 3? Or do
No, you can't add because that's 3 times cosine. Like, this is multiplication. Okay, so amp is
3.
3. No reflect?
No.
And I write no reflect so I remember to look for it every single time. I feel like, is that dark? No, it isn't. It's pretty bright up there. Okay, B is 2. So period is
2 pi over 2.
2 pi over 2. So it is pi. What's the next thing? Scale. How do I find scale? P over 4. If you need to write 2 pi divided by b so you remember all that, do it. Okay, so it's going to be pi over what? 4. You guys like to do H first or K first?
H.
H. Okay, H.
H would be 0.
H would be 0 because there's nothing here.
And K would be 2.
And K would be 2. So this means we're starting at 0, yes?
Yeah.
So we're going to be adding 0, pi over 4 to 0, so we don't have to get common denominators, do we?
No.
Good there. But it means everything moves up, what? 2. Okay, so I put my x-axis down here because I'm putting everything up, what? 2. And actually, I'm going to erase it and I'm going to show you what I would actually do. Sorry. Okay, everything went up 2 from where? 0. Okay, so the middle is going to be at 2. So I know I'm not moving left or right, so I'm going to give myself a y-axis. And I'm just going to draw a dotted line. And I'm going to label that 2. It's my new axis, right? My amp is from my axis up and my axis what? Down. So my maximum is going to be where? 2 plus 3 is what? 5. So I put a 5. 2 minus 3 is what? Negative 1. So negative 1. So my x-axis goes where? Actually, yeah, it goes where? Right there. I don't usually, if I'm going to be on both sides, I don't usually put my x-axis till I know, just like I didn't put my y-axis till I knew where it went. And we did one complete cycle, not reflected, so we start at the max, right? Go down to the minimum, and then come up to the max. Now, I told you max, mins, and zeros, yes? But the zeros of the new axis. So this point right here, so it has to come down to the x-axis.
What?
This point right there where it hits the new axis.
What is your Q
Okay.
axis? Like, I know that it's your K, but I'm...
That's just the axis of the curve. That's the middle of the curve. That's how you know how to draw the curve. 2 is my K, so Elena, 0 is my K here, yes? It's the middle of my curve. So I'm just showing myself where I need to go up, and that's the middle. And that's how I know what point needs to be labeled on the x-axis. Okay? Never forget, always label 0. Always label 0. Even if you do not go through it, that is an easy point to win or lose. Okay, so what's my scale? Pi over 4. So my first one is pi over 4. Then I have pi over 4 plus pi over 4 is 2 pi over 4, so pi over 2. And then 3 pi over 4, and then pi. So yesterday I told you that B told you how many curves were between 0 and 2 pi. Well, if I have one curve from 0 to pi, I'd have how many from 0 to 2 pi? I'd have 2. Isn't that my B? Yeah. Take out your calculators, please. Because on your assignment yesterday, it says there's some problems that say just do it with your calculator. I want you to do them by hand, and they're going to be involved, okay? And I want you to check them with your calculator. I don't want you to just do them with your calculator. Okay, so put this in your, well, we'll do this one. -3. So just put -3 cosine, parenthesis, 2 pi, and use the pi symbol. It's above the caret. X Oops, add an extra. X plus 4 pi. When everyone's got it punched in, let me know. Don't hit anything.
Just make what and I'm not finding where pi is at.
Pi is the second caret. It's right here, right above division.
Thank you.
What couldn't you find, Callie?
I can't find the X.
It's right next to alpha. It's xt theta n. Right here.
It's underneath one.
The only variable it does is x. Doesn't do any other
I was
variable.
really confused. I was trying to go through them one time. It was just only showing me X.
Yeah, it only does x. Okay, you need to hit zoom. Remember I told you we only graph in radians, right?
Yeah.
Your calculator, you have to hit zoom and then guess what number?
6.
7.
Dang
What's 7? What's it say? Trig. Okay? And hit 7.
Error. Oh, I didn't.
it. Negative.
I've got a heart rate monitor on mine.
Okay, that's what it looks like. That's what I got. Now, we did from what to what? We did from -2 to 0. Okay? So,
Negative or minus.
did you put a minus instead of a negative? Okay, if you go to your window and you put, we obviously don't need from -495 to 495. We only need to what to what?
2 to 0.
No.
3 to
X's. 3 to -3. So let's do -4 to 4. Give yourself a little bit room. Okay. I don't think our scale needs to, what was our scale? What was our scale on this one?
Pi over 4.
It was 1/4.
Yeah.
Right here, scale. So put your scale as 1/4. You can put 1 divided by 4 and it will figure it out if you can't. Okay, and then we had -2, but let's go a little bit further. So let's go -2.5 to 0.5. Oh, wait. I did my X's and Y's wrong. I'm sorry, guys. And I think somebody was trying to tell me that. Okay, Y is -4 to 4, right?
Yeah.
X is -2.5 to 0.5. So if we do this, should we get pretty much exactly what we have? Yep. And then just hit zoom. You can hit graph or you can just hit zoom trig to be. Oh, no, you don't hit zoom trig.
I already did it.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, when you hit zoom trig, your window is from -2 pi to 2 pi. Okay, well, that's 6.28, right?
Yeah.
And this is only 2.
So what do we
So is
just
that
do?
why? So we have to go back and don't hit zoom, just hit graph.
I hit graph and it's like a straight line. Yeah.
But you
Same.
did?
Yeah.
Mine says.
Yeah, same here.
You shouldn't. Okay, let me just do it real quick.
That's what I've shown up as.
This is going well.
I know, it shouldn't be that hard.
This is Nick.
I think she knows who's
It did.
That was up right there at the end.
Yeah, everybody else does too.
Mine
Why
does.
is yours so small?
Oh, yours is off.
Because that's the window I wanted. I don't know why it's not. I'll have to look into that. But if I want to know, like at -2, it should be -3, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I want to know if I'm right, well, did we hit at 0? Did we hit a minimum?
Yeah.
On ours, it's a minimum. On here's a minimum.
Yeah.
So you can also hit trace and then just type in -2. And is it -3? If you hit trace -2, do you get -3 on your screen? Okay. Did we have -3 at, yes? We also had -3 at -1, right? So could I hit trace -1? And it's -2.98197, basically 2, right? So is our graph correct?
Yeah.
Yep. If I wanted to do -0.5, I should get +3, shouldn't I? And I do. So we should be able to adjust the window, and I don't know. I wonder if I change my mode to radians, if I can. I don't want to mess with it too much because it's just a waste of time right now.
That makes it odd. When I put
And we
my
had a scale of
radius
1/4, right?
with the crack.
There. If you change it to radians, if you change your mode to radians before you graph, you can hit your window and then graph, and you will get the window we had.
Like I
Now-
got a pretty picture when I put to radians.
Oh
Hit
yeah.
graph.
How do you change it from degrees to radians?
But you
I
have to
said
change your
I know I didn't
window.
look at the window.
Oh. What
He
did
just
you
doesn't
say?
do that.
How do you change from degrees to radians?
Mode,
I'm not clear, but here, you can watch it.
and then it should be radians and degrees. Okay? So
Next to the section.
if when we hit zoom trig, it just temporarily puts it in radians, but if you go here and hit radians, then you can adjust your window the way you want to see it. Okay? But again, this is just to check. It's not to do it. I'm not gonna test you whether you can put it in your calculator or not.
You should.
Okay, I think we need a problem with like everything, don't you?
Bell's gonna.
Oh, it is?
Bell is better.
Okay,
I have two.
so you have 31 through 51 odd. And actually, I don't think you have a graph with everything until tomorrow. You just have one or the other.